I went into this movie with seriously low expectations. Not because I had any major issues with the trailers or anything. I had a few issues, but I didn't have any major things against what they were doing. The only reason I went in with low expectations is purely because it's a live action of one of my favorite movies of all time, and I didn't want to get excited just to be disappointed about what they did. But when I tell you that this is the best live action I have ever seen, I'm not lying. Like, it was good. It had its differences from the original, and there were things that I'd prefer to have been done a little bit differently, but that's always going to happen. Like, a studio can never please every single person that watches the movie. Some people were mad that it wasn't close enough to the original, while other people were mad that it was too similar to the original. Like, what the fuck? Like, what did you want them to do? Make a whole new movie? People would have been so mad. There were obvious changes in the plot, yes. Were they bad changes? I'll tell you the reasoning for them, and I'm going to list the major differences, and let me know your opinion in the comments below, because some of these changes I have mixed opinions on, but it also helped carry the story along, so I'm like, I do understand why they did it. Now, we need to address my super consistent upload schedule. I'm sorry. It's supposed to be every week, and I had some big changes in my life, and I didn't have time for editing, but I will be getting back on top of my editing in a bit, but I've actually been focusing on my streaming a little bit more. My Twitch will be linked below, so if you would like to join my Twitch family, I would love to get to know you guys on there. I do a lot of just chatting streams, so I can actually chat and engage with you guys a bit on there, and the content's a little bit more fun and less in-depth as my YouTube content, so yeah, but still subscribe. I promise I will still be uploading on here. It's just a situation, but it's gonna be fixed soon. I promise. I've got some really cool videos coming, so just trust me. I'm sorry. First change that they had in the movie was the characters had more depth than the original. So the first character that had a big change was Snotlout. I can't say his name without thinking of Race to the Edge.
Jorgensen, Snotlout Gary.
Hold it. Not on the list.
What? Oh no, it has to be on the list. Can you look again?
Only Jorgensen I see is a snot hat.
Snotlout's character and his relationship with his father, Spitelout, was explored in way more detail than the original. So rather than viewing him as just an egotistical bully like some people did in the original, the comedic but really sad relationship he had with his dad made you feel kind of sorry for the guy and more understanding about why he treated others the way that he did. It was a comedy element though, even though like deep down you could see it could be sad, but the way it was delivered was very comedic. And so it didn't change anything outside of how you viewed him as a character. It wasn't like a whole subplot. Like, it was just like a comedic thing in the background that helped you understand why he is the way he is, which I found very helpful because it made me kind of understand the character a bit more. And what I really found interesting about that is a lot of the die-hard How to Train Your Dragon fans watched Race to the Edge, which, oh, I love that show. It was a Netflix show set just before the second animated How to Train Your Dragon. And in that show, you do see quite a bit of Snotlout and Spitelout's relationship. And you can definitely see how there's tension and a bit of a messed up relationship there where the dad's always disappointed and embarrassed about his son. You definitely do see that. So I think the fact that they included it in this was actually super interesting because it kind of connected the animated and the live action a little bit more. The second character that had a lot more depth was Astrid.
Wow, you've lost everything. Your father, your tribe, your best friend. What are you gonna do about it?
Now, in the original, we barely see her having any interactions with Hiccup. She barely notices the dude until he became competition for her in the Trial of Fire. Then she follows him into the woods, has a romantic flight, and she starts to change her perception of him and they become love interests. This has been something I've seen lots of people talking about lately because as a kid's movie, that's perfectly fine. But watching it now, people are like, oh, so she only loves him because of Toothless. In my opinion, it's kind of a non-issue because it's a feel-good kids movie, but it is something people are talking about and it's something that was kind of addressed in the live action, which I found really interesting. So in the live action, her character was a little bit different. She has beef with Hiccup from the very beginning because her goal is to win the Trial of Fire and become chief. Now this means that from the very beginning of the movie, she had this kind of one-sided beef with him. And we see this beef, this word, I feel like I could be using a better word to describe this, but we see it verbalized in the scene where they're shown the Book of Dragons during their training. So the scene where they're all sitting in the Great Hall and then Gobba takes out the Book of Dragons and then she's like, I've read it. This scene really caught me off guard because it's very different from the original. So in the original, she barely responds to him and just says, I've read it, and then leaves the hall. But in the live action, we see him having a conversation with her where he questions if dragons are really the enemy. And she responds angrily, shocked that he even has doubts about their people. Now imagine being in training to kill dragons, being the son of the chief, seeing dragons destroy your home and take your mother and still having honest doubts about who was in the wrong. This scene is actually so powerful because it makes sense that Astrid had this conversation with Hiccup playing on her mind for a while before actually meeting Toothless. Because she also saw him in the ring suddenly doing well, defeating dragons. Why is he doubting everything but still doing so well? So obviously she was thinking about him a lot. So the change of heart for her made so much more sense with this additional scene, because it means that she'd been paying so much more attention to him. So even though it was as a rival for a long time, she had more of a slow burn than the original, because the original just felt like, bam, okay, we're rivals, I follow you, romantic flight, we kiss. Whereas this was like, I'm questioning everything I know about you. Now, a point that one of the directors made was that in the original, Hiccup was portrayed as a runt, a small, scrawny Viking, which made the addition of scenes like the talking fishbone barmaid scene really funny because it just helped him like acknowledge, oh yeah, I'm the small, weak dude.
Excuse me, barmaid. I'm afraid you brought me the wrong offspring. I ordered an extra large boy with beefy arms, extra guts and glory on the side. This is a talking fishbone.
But these scenes weren't in the live action. And the reason for that is because the actor of Hiccup, Mason Thames, was not a scrawny kid. He looked to be about the same as everyone else his age. Like, obviously he looked a little bit scrawnier than some of the other characters, but he wasn't like this tiny kid. The contrast wasn't there like it was in the original. So the focus on his character was not about him being an outcast because of his size, but more of an outcast because of his other traits. For example, his inability to kill dragons. So the focus was just more put on that rather than his build. So they excluded the scenes that were making fun of his build because it just didn't make sense. Now, the one scene that people are pretty upset they didn't include was the scene with the terrible terrors. I don't know why they left this out. Like, honestly, this is the scene where Hiccup learns that dragons aren't fireproof on the inside. Now, a quick recap if you don't remember this scene. After Hiccup has that whole flight with Toothless and they've bonded and Hiccup can now fly on Toothless without having his cheat sheet. It's like a very important scene, the test flight scene, absolute cinema, just saying. After that scene, they go to an island and there's terrible terrors, and Toothless is eating fish. A terrible terror comes up to him, tries to steal the fish, and then Toothless does like a plasma blast into this terrible terror's mouth. He like inflates like a balloon, and then he's all dizzy and like hurt afterwards. And that's when Hiccup says the line,
Not so fireproof on the inside, are you?
that line is so important for when Hiccup takes down the Red Death at the end of the movie, because Hiccup uses that information to ultimately win over not just the fight scene at the end, but also to win over the whole of Berk. So it's a very important scene. Again, like, it could just be something he learnt and it could just be like implied, but I just think that that scene ties it all together because we see all the scenes of him toothless in the long grass, except they changed it to dandelions, which was kind of cute. And then Toothless being scratched underneath his chin and then passing out and that being used in the training. Like, we see all the parallels used all the way through, but the only parallel we don't really see is the one that's used for the boss fight at the end of the movie. I saw this movie twice in cinemas, and both times I went in, the audience were majority people in their 20s, 30s, people my age. And there was something so incredibly wholesome about sitting in a cinema over 10 years later, watching a movie with people who were likely all sitting in the same cinema having the exact experience. And it was just so wholesome because it's like, we came in here and we saw this when we were kids, and now you're here bringing your kids into the cinema to watch this. Like, it was so beautiful. Like, I loved it. It was a beautiful experience. And if you haven't seen it, I really recommend you go and see it. Even if you wait for it to come out on like Netflix or wherever it comes out, just see it. It also made me go into like my whole How to Train Your Dragon phase again. So I've been going through and watching 1, 2, and 3. We don't talk about number 3, but I've been going through and I watched all those movies. I'm currently rewatching Race to the Edge. Now, next video, just subscribe and turn notifications on. You'll see when I post again, because I can't guarantee. I love you guys so much. I hope you guys have a good week. Stay safe, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.